Hello, this is Top Secret and welcome to the weapon swap tutorial. This is a tutorial for Civilization 4 Beyond the Sword modding. So we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to swap a weapon. First thing we're going to do is find the unit that we want to swap. This tutorial was requested by TanTanMin. He was asking if we could swap the sword from a certain unit for the weapon that the Gondor Scout has. So the first thing you need for this tutorial is definitely NifSkope. I'm using NifSkope 1.2.0, which I can link in the thread that I'm going to put for this tutorial. So this is what the Gondor Scout looks like in NifSkope. Again, so 1.2.0 Alpha 2. The latest version's 2 point something, and it has Alpha 7. I'm not sure if that still works, but I'm going to show you how to do it in this version, and then hopefully that also works in the newest version. The reason I'm not using the newest version is because of a glitch that I had with replacing this part of the model. It caused this part where I swapped him to a Gondor looking face. It caused it to be gone. Anyway, so here is the unit that he wanted. Now, if you click NifSkope, sometimes it will give you load up and sometimes it won't. So this is the model. Sometimes when you have two models open, it won't load the second model. I'm not sure why. Hopefully the latest version fixes that, but I'm going to keep using this version because I'm stubborn. Okay, so we're going to copy. What you do is you click on the weapon that you want to swap. Right now, I'm only doing a tutorial for swords, etc. And then you go back to the other window and click on that one. Now, if you see over here on the left, it's attached under a NI node, which is like a NIF node, which is, it just tells it to keep it in that place on the model. And then this one is for the hand. So what we're going to do is we'll click here and then we'll go to the parent. So see, what you need is your view. You'll have block list and block details. You need both of those checked. When you do that, you want to go to the NI node and press paste branch. That will paste the sword in. Now you can see two problems. Number one, the sword is just randomly over here. And number two, the sword is white. That's because the files for the sword are in a different folder. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to make a new folder called Gondor Scout Dagger. What that will do is enable us to paste it here. So what we do with our new folder is now we're not going to overwrite our original unit, which is good. And what I did is I copied these three files. These are the DDS files. Let me switch to details so that you can see this. Okay, you do not want to copy the NIF file. You want to copy the DDS files because those are like the artistic files that wrap around the model and give you the thing. Technically, you might not need all three of these. I don't think you need this, but just to make it easier, do it that way. Now, in the Gondor Scout folder, we're just going to copy everything except this one, which I tested to make sure it worked. So we copy everything from the normal Gondor Scout, which I'll provide a link to on the forums. So now that you have all the files in the same location, we can swap it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to save as. When we save, we'll go to our head folder. Then you go to Gondor Scout Dagger. Here we'll save over this. And then, oops, sorry, that's too loud. We'll reload. Now that we have the weapon in there, so now you can see that we copied the DDS files over. These right here. 1, 2, 3. I don't think we need this one. I don't think it's linked in the file. But we now have the weapon here. So what we're going to do is, now NifSkope can be funny. It can show you an orientation of a weapon and then you get in the game and it looks nothing like that. But we're not going to worry about that right now. What we're going to do is rotate this so that, let's try 170. We need to, I had the correct rotation the other night. Oh, here we go. So there's two different ways you can do this, but I generally stick with Euler. You can also swap this to axis, but see, that just messed up my rotation. So be careful with that. Okay, generally I'm trying to get this to look right. It's not always fun. This is what they don't tell you when you start modding. Alright, so what we're going to do is try to get it as close as possible to the original location of the weapon. And the reason we do that is because that way, if the person who made the unit, which was me, put the weapon in the right spot, then the weapon will look correct. Okay, so what we did is we moved it around and then we slid it into hopefully the right spot. Now we're going to remove branch. There we go. So what we did here is when I removed the branch, I removed the old sword and now we just have the new sword. Now I'm not sure if that looks exactly like it did in the original. So let's go check. See, this is what I was talking about. It won't load up the second window. When it does that, you just new window it. And then I still had this open last time. Okay, so yeah, it looks basically the same. I think it's having rendering issues because I'm running too many things on my computer at once. But anyway, here we go. So this is the sword and it's attached. Now we're going to save this so we don't lose it. Okay, here's what you can do. You have two options. One is you can load up the game and plug the unit in and see if it works. The other one is you can test it in NifSkope and it won't look exactly the same, but it'll look mostly the same. So what I'm going to do is, I believe, this uses the scout animations from the base game. No, it uses warrior animations. Okay, to check how that works, let me show this. Let me step back. So we're going to go to the mods folder, Middle Earth, Assets, Art, or XML. Art defines unit. So I have this entered under Gondor Scout. So right here you can see that it uses the warrior animations from the base game. So what we need to do is get the warrior animations, which I've unpacked, and test it. The other option is, of course, to load up the game, which is probably easier for you. But we're going to test it this way. That way you guys can see how it kind of works. So to unpack the vanilla art, you have to actually get the file pack system. You can find it on CivIV, and it lets you get the art from the base game because the art from the base game is not actually readily available. So what we need to do is copy the KFM file and all the KF files. This will allow us to check out the animations. You don't technically need the KFM, but you do need the KFs. The KFM is just when you want to put this in a mod, which I'm assuming you do. So we navigate back to our folder and post all this stuff in. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on in the folder now. So you just have to take your time and be careful with it. Okay. So make sure you save before you attach the KF to test. If you save after you attach the KF, it will leave it in there. And I'm not sure how to get that out because I've never done that. So make sure you save before you do attach KF. Let me explain this. So you press spells, then you press go to animation and attach KF. This lets you choose an animation to try. So what we're going to do is the best one you want is idle because that's how it'll look in the base game when he first starts. So as you can see, he's moving around now. Now the sword is staying about where we had it, but I think we could move it up one part and then over to the side. Let's try one more animation though to see what it looks like when he's hitting. So you look through all these and you see strike A. Now we have to switch to strike A. So it's really fast. I'm not sure. So if you see that, yeah, it would be very useful if we did that. Okay. It'll be useful if we reload. So what we're going to do is reload XML and NIF. That's under File, Reload XML and NIF. When you do that, it gives you the file again. But since we saved before we attached the animations, they're gone now. If you look up here in this box right here in the middle, that eliminates the problem of having it. Now, what we're going to do is use Z and slide it up a bit. Now, it looks kind of funny in his hand, but you'll notice his hands are just one solid block. But when you play the game, it's a lot smaller. So here's what we're going to do. I have a backup of the original Gondor Scout. So I'm just going to plug this into my mod. And remember, it uses the warrior animations. And we're going to see we don't need all the rest of this. We just need this. But we'll copy the whole thing. Copy. So we're going to plug this into my mod and see if it works and looks correct. So I have everything stored under here. Gondor Scout Dagger. Okay, what we're going to do right here is we have it scored under Gondor Scout Dagger and then Gondor Scout. So basically what I'm doing is in my mod, I'm just switching the location so it uses the one we created. If you'll notice, it says Art, Units, Gondor, Gondor Scout Dagger, Gondor Scout. So what that tells the file is go to Art, then go to Units, then go to Gondor, then go to Gondor Scout Dagger, because I changed the name. So I still have the original. I didn't delete it, which is always good modding ideas. And then I moved it here. Okay. So now that that's done, all we have to do is load up the mod, because I saved this, and play as Gondor. Once we do that, we can check to see how the unit looks. We want to make sure the sword looks right. We don't want to make sure he's not over, so we're going to close Chrome. We want to make sure that we positioned it right, that when he animates, the big ones are animating, fortifying, and fighting. There's a couple other animations, but like if the sword falls out of his hand when he dies, we don't really care where it goes. We just want to make sure it's rotated right and it's positioned right so that it works. Swapping weapons is really that easy. You just basically, number one, find the weapon you want to swap, copy it, then paste it into the one you want. And then you paste the files over with it. So really all you're doing is copying the weapon from one NifSkope file and pasting it in the other in the same position on the block list. Okay, so let's test this and make sure it works. We'll go into play a scenario, then we'll select Middle Earth Small, then we'll select the Kingdom of Gondor. Now, with the new scout unit subbed in, we can see if the animations work. Right here we have a Gondor scout. So we'll scroll down to hire Mendesil and put him down in. And it looks like the sword works reasonably well. So we'll check the animations to make sure that when he's fighting, it doesn't look wacky. Scouts can't attack in the normal game, so I put a barbarian here. He'll almost certainly come attack us, and then that will let us see how the animation looks. We'll just skip the turn here. Okay, and if you look at the fortify animation, sometimes they hold it downward. That's from the warrior. When they hold it upward, that's what he looks like right there. Okay, let's do this. See if he attacks us. Oh, there he goes. Pretty good. I think the sword can move up a little bit more, but that's basically it. So, again, let's go down here and let's review what we learned. Is that you find the sword that you want. We found this in the Hebrew Short Swordsman. We right click it, block, copy branch. We click the sword in the other one, and that will take us to the correct part in the block list. And you press block paste branch to paste the branch in the correct place. So you'll right click and press paste branch. And remember, if you don't have your block list open, just press F2 or click view and press it. When you paste it in, you'll need to go to transform, edit, and you'll see the translation and the rotation. Edit it till it looks correct. On some models, it's not going to be correct, even sometimes when you put it in the same place. But that's why you leave the other one in there till you move it to the right place. Then you right click the other one, which I'm not showing here. I'm showing the new one, and press remove branch to kill the other 3D file. Then press save as and save it, and then test it in your game. If you have any other questions, let me know on the forums. This has been Top Secret, and thank you for watching.